Tom Torero podcast 73, I do believe we are at. It's been a manic day. I've just got off a train from Cardiff. I am now in Paddington, and I met a young gentleman. This sounds very dodgy, but I will explain what happened. I met a young gentleman called Tom, aged 23. What a fine name. Two Toms standing in the middle of Paddington, and very quickly I bounced him all of 5 minutes to a sunny park. We are still in Paddington. We're reclining on the grass, bamboozling Tom, getting him in a bubble, and then going, come on Tom, let's do a podcast. And Tom's like, okay. But nothing physical has happened, nothing sexual has happened. But why am I with a guy called Tom? Well, I spoke to Tom on Skype a few weeks ago, and his story, I was going to say blew me away, but no more sexual innuendos. His story was impressive. A, for like the amount of action he was doing because of his age. B, his backstory involving music and other kinds of hustles. And then C, he started telling me about these lays. And only the other day he sent me another kind of lay report. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Park lay reports, pulling girls in London parks. I've got to meet this guy before I fly off in half an hour. And get this on records, because it's about not having logistics, it's about hustling in other ways. It's a progress report if you're in your early 20s and you want to know how fast you can learn day game, and a whole other collection of wonders. So hello Tom.
Hello Tom.
This is like Inception. Wonderful. I like the way we are sitting in a sunny park.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether you've bounced me or I've bounced you here. We don't know what's happening. It has all the hallmarks of a same day lay, but please don't come any closer.
Okay.
First of all, guys are going, all right, well, who's this Tom bloke? So can you give us a bit of background on you and the other hustles,
yes,
and then obviously the day game?
Okay, hello everyone, my name is Tom. So I'm 23. I come from a very small town and have lived there and moved around the world quite a bit. I change location about every 3 or 4 months. That's living in South America I've been to, and I've lived in my small town and moved to London with no money at one point. From the ages of, from very early age, I've always been a quote unquote black sheep. Even in my prom days, when I think everyone was wearing suits and I had my leather jacket on and leather trousers.
Tom's got a good look, I should say. It's the rock and roll London look. Yeah, you strike me already as a musician, and surprise, surprise, you are a musician.
Yes, I'm a guitarist and I've been playing guitar for 12 years.
And then I hear the audience going, oh, well, I know why he gets laid, because he's in a band, innit? Yeah, he's in a band, that's how he gets laid. Now, a part of that hustle is true, but can you explain that backstory as opposed to getting girls from that hustle as opposed to what you're doing now?
Yeah, actually it is true, you can get girls that way, but the problem with that, doing girls at just gigs, is you don't get a variety of selection, first of all. Most of the girls that come to my gigs anyway are over 25, over 30. And to get a hot girl who's, at a gig is quite rare.
And there's nothing wrong with fame game, like I said to you on Skype.
Yeah.
That's bloody marvellous. Like, who wouldn't be Robbie Williams? Who wouldn't be Mick Jagger for a week, And all fair play to you. Get as many as you can from that hustle. But you're not, and you have, haven't you? You told me some stories about girls at your gig, IOIing or...
3, yeah. My hustle when I'm in my band is... we usually headline our band or play just before the headliners, and I usually scan for IOIs when I'm playing, wink at girls, and they kind of see who's interested, who's watching, who's on their phone, and then literally approach the girl that I think's interested afterwards and just say, hello, thank you for watching.
Yeah, the stuff's already been done. Attraction, pre-selection, jealousy, all the classic stuff has been done. So,
and then she just bombards you with loads of questions like, oh my god, I love your band, or I love your hair, my classic compliment is. Loads of questions, and then you just basically find out logistics and escalate
And they're very
And leave.
fast, aren't they? You've said, let's go back, let's have an after party.
I've had two. So I've had one which was in a car outside the venue. The
And in a car. That's rock and roll,
in her
baby.
car.
Rock and roll. There you go, for guys saying they don't have logistics, by the way.
Yeah.
In a car, in her car. Good.
Yeah, because she lived too far away, and I said, "Oh, how did you get here?" And she said she drove, so I just went, "Okay." And then I think I introduced one of my friends to one of her friends. She was with another girl.
Get rid of the obstacle.
Yeah, and then I literally just said, "Let's go outside for some fresh air." And then I said, "Oh, let me see your car." I remember it now. I said, "Let me see your car because I love looking at seats."
I'm so interested.
I said something about the seats, like I want to see what year they're made in.
It's
She
that,
fell for that.
there's a human psychological thing, isn't there, that when you use the word because,
I do that a lot. Yes. Even
the
with
human
parks.
brain just accepts it, and you can say ridiculous things, like we are going to talk about with park hustling. Anyway,
Yes.
so that's your rock and roll hustle, and it works. But you're not relying on that, and you haven't been just relying on that for how many years? When was the day game thing?
Whoa. So I would think I broke up with my girlfriend. Okay, so I started getting into day game about 2 years ago, and I would say about 9 months of that was just reading books and watching videos. And I was living in my small town. I had all those excuses like, oh, I live in a small town, I can't do it.
Were you living with your folks then?
I was living with my band actually.
Right.
And then I moved to London, and I actually had a guitar business back in my small town. That was going quite well. I had about 20 students, but I couldn't focus on it because of the girls. I was just focusing on watching videos all day, and I thought, well, instead of watching these, I need to just move to London, get that kind of thing out of the way.
Yeah.
So I did that. I just moved to London. I think I decided about 2 weeks before I went. I moved it, posted a picture on Instagram, went, right, it's official now.
I like that speed of implementation. Fuck it, do it.
Yep. And then I moved with about £200. Struggled a lot when I got there. I had a job in a pub, got fired after 2 weeks because I turned up at a gig instead, which we got paid £100 for. What else did I do? Then I went to a coffee shop, and I stayed there for about 3 weeks, but then I had 4 days where I didn't turn up in a row.
Jeez.
Because I was with a French girl. I met a French girl at a club and bounced her back, and I was just too tired. The next morning I was late, and then I was like, oh, I'm not going to turn up now.
You naughty boy. Rock and roll. Now, did you have a period of immersion where you're the classic day game in a bit of hell, where you've got the anxiety, then you immerse yourself and you get
Yes.
you get the learning down?
Yes, actually that's funny because after the coffee shop job, I was cold approaching, but I was only doing it with wins at the time. And I think I was just a bit lucky because I can play a bit of the good looking guy game, I guess, because I used to, approach maybe 10 or 15 and get maybe 7 numbers, 8 numbers, and quite a lot of dates, but not too many lays actually, because back then I was doing day game in boyfriend mode.
Yep.
That's before I read Street Hustle.
Good plug. Nice. I'll slip you a tenner. Fantastic. But okay, so guys are thinking then, well, okay, he has the rock thing and he has the looks thing. I'd say you fit into a niche. As in, girls that immediately, they're putting you into that type. But interesting to counter that argument, you're saying you went on a lot of dates, which day gamers do, students do, they go on a lot of dates, and you say, oh, well, what's the lay ratio? And it's something like crazy small for a lot of...
Every 10.
One every 10, exactly. When, at the peak of a man's game, it could be 1 in 2. So then you can easily diagnose, something's going wrong, either on the date or it's how I'm presenting myself. And as we said on Skype, you've got the rock and roll look, they know you're in a band, and then you're coming out with kind of boyfriend material, perhaps in the past, and the girl's going, what the fuck?
And before, like the time period we're talking about, last year, I didn't have a leather jacket, I didn't have boots, I wore shoes, and I wore kind of like a tweedy jacket.
Yeah.
So it gave off a way more boyfriend vibe.
Interesting guy, boyfriend material. Yeah, sweet guy, British guy. Oh, he's nice. Introduced him to my mum. 4 dates, 5 dates, etc. Okay, and then you come across more day game material, which is more ruthless, which is more fast escalation.
Yeah, so during that time period I was doing, quote unquote natural game. So I was reading a lot of books about it and watching a lot of videos about it, and I thought, okay, let's try it. But I tried it, and it is, I was just relying on, I would say, luck in a way, because I was approaching, and if the girl didn't hook after the opener, that's it, she's gone. So I relied on approach, hey, I think you look really nice, and then if she hooked and we just built rapport, took her number and invited to the date.
And it does work. It does work as a filtration method. If that's all you've got, I say to students, you'll still be better than the average guy, but you need to approach in volume.
Yes.
And you never know when your next meal will come or where it will come from. You know what I mean? It's that horrible feeling like I'm walking around again. I hope a girl likes me today, and occasionally they really do. You can get real deep connections, deep rapport, girlfriends out of this method, and guys do. So natural game, that's the disclaimer. It does work, but you're obviously there horny thinking I want to smash more birds.
Exactly. So a few months after that I moved back to my small town. By the way, when I was in London, the last job I got was a fundraiser, and I was doing that for 4 months.
Well, that is important because of this skill.
Yeah, and I'd done loads of approaches, maybe about 100 a day, signed up probably 4 or 5 people a day.
Which is very high for London.
Yes, our target was 1 or 2.
But you said all these happened to be young, pretty girls.
Yeah, well, the regional manager came to me at one day, and I think I had been working him for about 2 months, and he said, Tom, you know what, we really like you, right? You're getting very good results, you're getting very good stats, but you get a lot of cancellations, and 90% of people you sign up are girls. And so he was like, I think they're signing up because of you and not for the charity. So he talked me through filtration processes to make sure they're actually signed up for the charity.
What a great skill set, I have recommended guys try it if they're super shy, because of verbal bamboozling, general confidence, cockiness.
And it's very easy to get a job as a fundraiser because they don't really look at your CV, they just invite you to an interview, go to the interview, and they really trial you in the first 2 days, and that's when they're going to fire you or not.
Yeah, and high turnover.
That's it. So it's a very good thing if you've got high approach anxiety, I would definitely go for that. But after that, I went back to my small town. That was during Christmas period. Done some hibernation. Didn't go on a single date for about 2 to 3 months.
Good.
Until February. And I was really focusing on what do I want to do in my life, how am I going to earn money, because I really want to travel, and I keep moving job to job, place to place, and I'm like, I need to get some kind of thing sorted with my income. And so I thought, well, I've got a guitar, I've got a skill set, I watched Flow Mad and was definitely considering that. And so this year has been really just looking at how to move forward in terms of income, I started focusing on my health, and in the last 3 months I got a job because I ran out of money. So I actually got a job at a supermarket, and already I want to quit. But it's good because I've got a steady income coming, and now I'm focusing on my career, which is guitar playing. I'm focusing on girls, so street hustling, and health and fitness. So at the moment I'm doing boxing for fitness, and that's gotten my shoulders in quite good shape over the last 3 months. Before this I was quite skinny. And it also made me feel more masculine as to approach the more feminine type of girls, because I used to have quite high AA with like feminine women. So I used to kind of weasel out of them and be like, oh, I don't know what weasels I was saying, but she's too hot probably. Well,
this is great that you're at 23, without again sounding patronising, but at 23 you're hitting all the areas that you should be hitting for sexual market value as a man. and you've spoken about getting more freedom, doing more travel, and I think I said to you on Skype, it's clear that your character is this person. It's established when you're young. If you've had restless feet and you're a nomad and you've resisted the norm as a teenager, that's you. And no matter how hard you try to have a steady job, and now you've seen truths in game, and recently you've seen some quite remarkable truths in game about what women do, you can't unsee it. So you can't unsee the job thing, you can't unsee the women thing, you won't be able to unsee the travel thing. That's a blessing and a curse, I can tell you, because you just can't stop. And I hope, as you said, the fitness thing carries on. Hopefully you can't unsee that too. I need to see it. Okay, but we're halfway through the podcast. Exactly halfway through, yes, I think so. And let's get specific, because a very common question I get via email is, I don't have logistics because I'm too young, or I live with my folks, or I have an awkward house situation. Tied onto that is I don't have enough money. Guys say, well, I don't have the money, so I can't do the dating because I can't afford cocktails and venues. They say I find it difficult to ask to go back to hers, or she says I can't go back to hers. The biggest one is I don't live in a big city. That's a classic excuse. I don't live in New York or London, so what's the point of starting dating? And you, a bit like me old mate Sam Django, you've proven these weasels to be wrong, because in the last 3 weeks, month-ish, you've had, which is great. You've had 3 lays,
taking a number and then arranging a date.
And then you haven't gone to a hotel. You haven't even used a car. You've slept with 3 girls in the same park, which is St James's Park in London. God bless St James. So guys are obviously going, well, let's hear these bloody stories. Inspirational.
Okay. So yeah, about a month ago I really decided, okay, I'm going to probably be in my small town for a little bit. I need to focus on my guitar, but I also need girls to focus on guitar, because if I just try and focus on guitar without dating, I get distracted very quickly. And if I go and focus on girls without playing guitar, it's the same thing. So I need both of them. So I thought, right, once a week I'm going to go to London. I'm going to make that commitment and do 20 approaches. And so I done it. I'll admit the first week I only done 4 in 4 hours.
Doing this solo?
Yes. And then I done that one solo. And then some of the other ones I do about 10 approaches, 15 approaches, then I meet up with a win and maybe do 5 or 10 more. So that first week I done only 4, but I did feel quite bad coming home. But then I said, right, next week I'm 100% going to do those 20. And so I did. And the next week I done 20 approaches, only got about 3 numbers or 4 numbers. I got really frustrated with my 18th approach, which was a beautiful blonde girl, but a guy came into the set right at the end when I thought it was done and I was off guard. So it made everything a bit awkward. But then I was kind of annoyed, so I was walking with my win, and my win just said, I'll just do 1 or 2 more. And a Korean girl walked past, and I ran around, approached her. It wasn't quite eye sparkle, but
with Asians, you're not going to get much. I
done a bit of, a bit of the stacking, said how dreamy she looked, said that she looked like a Buddha, meditating while listening to music, and I love girls who are so relaxed, because in London everyone's so busy rushing around.
That's a great universal stack. Write it down, you fuckers. This is all free, don't write to me.
Yep. And so she liked that. She said, oh, I'm so happy, thank you. We got to a bit of vibing, and what did we do? She said she was from Korea, and I've had a lot of friends from Korea, so I know quite a lot about the country. So I started saying, oh, okay, so, do you cook kimchi? And she was like, not really. I was like, well, you're not proper Korean if you don't cook kimchi. And
very
like
good.
Using kind of like her country. And she was like, oh, well, what did we do? I built some rapport, and
was she here on a summer thing?
She was here for 1 week. She came on a Wednesday, I think, and went back on a Wednesday. And she was just here for a holiday. She saved up about 3 months.
Alone?
Yes.
Bingo.
Yeah. And what was I going to tell you was...
Where did you go? What did you do after that?
Okay, so at first she was quite sceptical. I want to speak about it. She was quite sceptical. She thought I was maybe a pickpocketer or something. She even wrote on her Google Translate, "Are you a pickpocketer?" I was just like, "No, I'm attracted to you. That's why I approached you. Reassure that I am attracted to her."
Nice.
Yep. And then anyway, I took her Instagram, believe it or not, because she couldn't find herself on Facebook and she didn't have an English number, and I didn't have the app that Koreans use, which is Kakao Talk.
Okay.
So I took her Instagram, messaged her on Instagram. We already arranged to meet up on the Monday. So we arranged to meet up Monday. I told her the location. She said okay. I said basically where we met, because that's easy for her. And we met at Big Ben. And then
Big Ben, the phallic object.
yeah, this is, I'll tell you the date. What we done is I took her straight to the first venue, which was a pub near Trafalgar Square. I went about half an hour before to see if it's empty and stuff.
Good.
Half an hour before. On the way there, yeah, she was quite nervous, but I was just talking a lot. And I find, especially these last three girls, I do about 70% of the talking, because they're actually quite shy.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to read if they're attracted to you or not. But I got in the first venue, done some spiking, done some rapport building as well, and tried kissing her, but nope, she wouldn't have that one.
Asian kissing in public. Yeah.
Yep. Then I just said, okay, wait till she has finished her drink. Then I said, okay, let's go. We're going to go to Trafalgar Square. She's already been there, but I said, it's beautiful at this time.
Leading, I like it.
Yes. And so we went to Trafalgar Square. And I sat on the fountain with her, started doing some more little spiking. I noticed that Asians don't respond too well to sexual spiking.
Yeah.
They kind of go shy and they lose eye contact, and
It's just a big no-no in Asia, I think.
Yeah.
Certainly in Japan, and I'm guessing therefore Korea and Taiwan.
Yeah.
Stuff in public is just unheard of. Even to look a man in the eye is very unheard of in Tokyo. So you have no idea, do you, until they're in isolation.
that's it. Right. So we was just talking more, and then I tried kissing her about another 2 times, and she wouldn't have that. So I made fun of her kissing. So I said, what did I say? I said, oh, okay, I know what it is. You don't like kisses, do you? You're like a little girl, and kind of gave her a pat on the head. And she went, no, it's just that, in Korea we don't kiss on the first date. And so I just looked at her, smiled, and went, well, we're in England, and we kiss on the first date, and I'm attracted to you. I stood up and then just kissed her, and she actually kissed that time.
Boom, love it.
Yeah. Again, not a heavy make-out, but just enough so I can go, right, that's cool. Then I think we stayed there for about 2 more minutes, or 3 more minutes, and then I moved her to the park, but I do it in stages.
Bounce, bounce, bounce.
Yeah, so the park's my long-term goal, but what I do is I go, you know what, let's just go over here because there's a nice walk, and then we go over there and I'm just talking to her as normal. I should mention this. On the way there, I'm talking about how free London is. So I'm always like, you know what's beautiful? We got the trees here, we got life, and inside these trees there's like living things. We got the amazing leaves that are falling, and if you zoom right out, because it's nighttime, I look up at the sky and I'm like, the stars are out, and on the other side of the world, maybe in your country, Korea, there's people looking at those same stars. It sounds a bit romantic-y, but it kind of works.
I think in traditional game they used to call it our world, or our world, which is you and her in a bubble looking out. And then I called it the Russell Brand kind of bamboozling, because if you know Russell Brand's trick, it's to basically not hypnotize, but through the poetry of magic and the universe, which does make women wet. It's the opposite of saying, roses and chocolates and flowers. And also you're cleverly saying, I love how anonymous London is.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what you're doing and no one cares. And I like the fact that you don't seem to care. Oh yes, that's true, yes. And you don't follow societal norms or even what your family say, do you? You're very adventurous, aren't you? Yes, I am. Okay, that's great, me too. Bang.
That's the one.
And it's not
Exactly like that.
hypnosis. It's just suggestive, you could say, or I think in psychology they say the yes ladder.
Yep.
Don't get it to say no, get it to say yes. Isn't that true?
Yep, that's right. So what I done is moved her from Trafalgar Square down to St James's Park, but on the way I do various stops. So I look at this statue, look how cool that is, what do you think of it? She's like, oh yeah, I really like this part of it, that's nice, you know what, go down here. There's a set of stairs that I go down. I usually also just say this seems like a scene from a movie, or I just pick her up and
Beautiful.
run her down the stairs and then pin her against the wall.
Cinematic,
kiss her.
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I try and create that movie all
Every
the time.
girl's waiting to live that movie.
Yes. Also, sometimes I actually speak about Disney movies. Sometimes I say, what's your favourite Disney movie?
Yeah? Yeah.
Some girls respond well to that as well.
Yeah, I like it, role play.
Yep. And then we run down the stairs, I pick her up, put her against this wall, kiss her, and then stop before she does.
Very good, very good.
And then say, okay, let's chill more down there. We cross this road.
Is it dark by now?
It's,
Getting
yeah, about 9:30 right now. Yeah, it's getting dark. And it actually is quite dark. And then we go across the road. On the way to, we just passed the Queen's Palace, but not Buckingham, another one where she does Trooping in the Colours.
Yeah.
Again, I say wave to the Queen. Tourists seem to like that as well.
Very good.
Trying to add a bit of fun. And then this is the part, because there's this part where it goes into the park and it's quite dark. And before I used to have problems where I used to just go, let's go down here. And then you go down there and she's getting more scared and she's like, no, actually I need to go home.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so now what I do is I say, you know what, there's an amazing water fountain just down there. And so I'm not saying let's go down there, I'm just pointing just beyond that dark path. I'm saying there's a water fountain over there, let's just go. And she actually commented on, you know, oh, it seems quite dark. And I was just like, don't worry, you're with a nice strong British man.
Very good, yeah.
And then kept walking, and we got to the lake or the water part. And then I always say, okay, let's just sit and chill on this bench. We went on the bench, and then at this point she was a bit nervous, so this happened in the moment, I just said, you know what, how beautiful it is again being here. You've got the waters, you've got the ducks quacking, it's beautiful, and no one cares about what we're doing. Like, they're all in their little group taking pictures of each other, and we're here doing our thing, and no one cares about what we're doing. And then I told her to relax. I said, let's breathe deep and do a bit of weird guided meditation. And then, but as I was getting her to relax, I was saying, listen to the sound of the water, listen to it, how relaxing is it? And she's like, yes, it's very relaxing. And then I do this thing where I also say, so I say, keep listening to the water, and then I kind of like kiss her as I'm...
This is very Ross Jeffries without the crazy man weirdness. Ross Jeffries, one of the godfathers of pickup, and I do like bits of him. He does a lot of this stuff, relying also on a very deep voice, but he does the breathing, touches their stomach, visualizations. But really what's happening is that it's just very slow, in a bubble, dreamy.
That's what I'm trying to, yeah.
And then she's given you the green light for everything.
That's it, because then after that, it's happened with all three girls that have been my last 3 park lays. You talk about it called the floppy test.
Yeah, when they're nuzzling into you, you're good to go.
Yeah, and this is exactly what happens, because you're just kissing them on their neck and their body, but then eventually they start turning their head to you.
It's like a cat or a dog on your lap, yeah?
Yeah, and then you go and kiss them, and this Korean girl dropped her bag and laid on the bench.
And then, you know, the window's open.
Yeah, exactly. And then what I done is I took her, that one I didn't want to do it there because people were still walking past.
Yeah.
So I took her to a tree. I said, come and look at the stars, because there's this point, and I say, over here you can look at the stars, and it's awesome.
Very nice, very nice. A lot of people do this, by the way, just as an add-on, either in Greenwich Park or Primrose Hill. So if you don't want to do St James's Park, Greenwich has got loads of these trees and it's got a hill, and Primrose Hill in the summer, it's just people banging for England on that hill.
Wow.
But St James's Park, fantastic. So you go to this tree.
Yep, I go to this tree and I lay down again. I lead. How I lead is I get on the floor first. I say, look down here. And then if she
Yeah.
says she can't see the stars from where she's standing, sometimes it's cloudy, you actually just lay on the ground and you go, if you lay down, you can see the stars. And they do that.
Oh, you ragamuffin.
And then I done that, and then I got on top of her, started kissing her, and then obviously with this one I got quite a bit of LMR, quite a bit of like, oh, you know, how many Korean girls have you been with? Or,
Token LMR and Asian. So
Yep,
you're gonna
yep.
get it.
so we do that. But if I cut the story short, I got underneath her clothes, fingered her for a bit, and then she pretty much wanted to do it there and took off the trousers. We did it there, and believe it or not, a man was watching.
Ah, the joys of London. One of my Hyde Park lays, I think I put it in a book, is that I did it under a tree with this Mexican girl.
Yeah.
And then halfway through she stopped and went, I went, what? And then she pointed and there was this Indian man jacking off.
Oh, really?
In the shadows.
I didn't know if he was jacking off, but he was just circling us in a hoodie.
Oh, lovely. One of the joys of outdoor sex,
Yep.
which girls weirdly find thrilling. But for the last just few minutes of the podcast, can you summarise the last two, like who they were? I know it was the same
actually,
hustle.
Basically, the last two were the same hustle, but I've added one more step now. Instead of doing it on the open field where everyone can see, now I go to this bush, and it's a way more private place. And thank God I did it last one, because on the open field, the last one, there was this massive, the whole field just lit up. And it was the
shit.
police going past.
Oh God. Right, yeah.
And she was loud the last one, so I had to calm her down, just say, okay, let's be quiet for a second. And again, she was like, oh, what's wrong? And I was like, it's just more romantic.
The first one was a date, but were the other two same day lays or delayed same day lays?
Again, it's the same method. So 20 approaches in London, meet one or meet a bunch, and then try and get a date.
That evening or a delayed?
No, the next week.
The next week. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. But it's still an impressive thing to do, even off a date.
Yep. And the last girl was Korean. One before that was French. The French one was actually surprising because she was very shy, and I was almost going to arrange a second date. We was in Trafalgar Square kissing, and I was like, this is not really going in. She wasn't kissing that, much. And then I said, you know what? Do you like rock music? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I want to show you my band. And she was like, yeah, I'd love to hear your band. I said, but we need to go somewhere a bit more quiet. Let's go down here. And she went, okay, yeah, there's actually a park down there.
Beautiful.
So she actually led in that way, and I was like, oh, it could be on.
French girls are my favourite for same day lays because of this. But to take the message from that girl, it's that, escalating on amber lights, and you have this skill that you've proven with quote unquote shy girls, quote unquote good girls, introverted girls. And as I tweeted today, counterintuitive, think about this if you're listening, who thinks and fantasizes about sex more? A, the girl who goes to the club Thursday, Friday, Saturday and basically gets laid in London Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or B, the quiet, bookish, introverted girl who's in London to study and go to the museums. She hasn't had more than one or two sexual partners. Which one is more horny? It's actually the second one. And she might be giving you these weak signals, especially when you're doing the talking bit, the kissing's a bit shit. Of course she's nervous. Wouldn't you be nervous if you met a guy, maybe this is your game time, you meet guys and take them to parks. You know what I mean? So until you're in isolation, until you're getting physical, don't predict. And I say to my students, stop predicting. You have no idea. All right, she looked shy, she looked nervous, who gives a shit? Until you take her in isolation and start physically escalating. Some girls jump your bones. That's a classic Asian thing. Shit date, shit kissing, or no kissing usually, in the bedroom, nuts. Absolutely nuts. And introverted girls, virgins, sex maniacs, sex addicts. But anyway, we've got to wrap this up sadly because of the time, but so much more to talk about, which I hope we will do somewhere abroad, because you're about to travel in the future. I'm off. I've booked my flights next month. I got them very cheap, £33. And the plan is to keep travelling after that, or this is just a taster?
Yes. So I'm getting my laptop tomorrow. Been saving up for it all month, and then I'm planning to now basically apply for some online English teaching companies. and then that would give me the freedom to travel if I work online.
Yeah, once you're living off your laptop, as people have said for years, then the game will take off. Because if you're managing to do this in London now, after just a few years of doing it, like I said, you can't really go back. You've seen what's possible. So nice to meet you, and congratulations on like rapid progress, and for clearing up the Summer Girls of London, which needs to be done. It's a charitable thing. You've made 3 girls very happy. You've improved their English, I'm sure, and have given them some summer loving.
Yeah, and they thanked me.
Oh yeah, one of them said thank you very much for that.
Yeah, for fulfilling her fantasy. She's had boyfriends before, but she's never actually done park sex, so.
And that's clearly in lover mode. We were saying at the beginning you started with daygame and boyfriend mode, now you've gone to lover mode, and before the podcast we had a quick chat and I said to you the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle, because you need to perform both hustles. Because not every girl will go for the park lay, the toilet lay, whatever, but it's in your repertoire, man. And beautiful, nice to meet you. Thank you for doing the podcast, and yes, we'll have you on again when we meet somewhere in Europe. All right, Thomas, carry on with your dirty shenanigans. That was podcast 73. I think the next one will be from Europe. I have no idea what. Oh yeah, I do know what it's going to be about. It's going to be on branding, personal branding, which is something I spoke to you about actually, the one-man brand. I'm not a marketer, I know nothing about doing this professionally, but I'm just going to tell you what I've done in terms of YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, how you can be a one-man band using your phone, your laptop and a credit card and a passport, and all is well. Until next week, ta-da.
Thank you, bye-bye.